I'm normally looking at myself when I do this.
You're normally looking at yourself. Okay.
Okay, guys. Slightly new, slightly more professional setting today. For those of you who have been in the gym or been around me or anyone else when they get a little bit jacked up, you'll have heard me talk about Dr. Tina Rogers. If you haven't had the pleasure of meeting her previously, this is Dr. Tina Rogers.
Hi.
So the doc is a naturopathic sports med doctor who has treated not only myself fairly extensively, but every pro or high-level athlete that's come through Lil's who has ever had an issue. And so far, I have not had a single person not see her and not get better almost immediately. So I figured who better to talk to about just about anything health and medical related than the doc.
Fair enough.
So after my steroid blog, which I can link to in the description of this video, I started wondering about options for raising testosterone naturally. And I figured, who better to talk to? So the doc is going to hit me and subsequently you with some ideas that I hope we can all implement.
All right. So let's start off with some of the basic things. Let's talk about body weight.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of people who have lower testosterone or issues with testosterone tend to be obese or overweight. And so a lot of research will show that if you drop fat, testosterone naturally will start to increase because fat adipose tissue is an endocrine organ. And so basically it will release hormones which increase inflammation and help decrease testosterone.
So I've read previously about this a little bit.
Yes.
And so I read for men, you want to be 15% body fat or less.
Correct.
For optimal hormonal function.
Yes.
You would agree with that?
I would agree with that for men, for sure. And for females, because you didn't touch on that, anything from 21% to 15%
is optimal. Okay.
Correct.
Is there a lower range for men that you know of?
The lower range for men, you can go up to 5%.
Okay. Men, 5 to 15%. Women, 15 to 21%.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So we first touched on fat. And obviously, if we lose weight, you will end up increasing your testosterone that way. The other thing that's a good thing to think about is eating fats, right? Because a big thing in our society today is low-fat diets, low-fat diets, low-fat diets, which actually in turn is actually not good for our health because low-fat means that we pull out fat and we implement sugar, and sugar is actually bad for testosterone. The research actually will show that if we consume sugar or a diet that's very high in sugar, it actually can decrease your testosterone by 25%.
So what's the mechanism that causes sugar consumption to lead to lower testosterone?
Okay. So what ends up happening is as you consume sugar, your insulin rises. And when insulin rises, testosterone will naturally decrease because what the body is trying to do is take that sugar into the cells to make energy, right? So it doesn't want to waste time on building muscle, which is what the hormone testosterone is supposed to do.
Okay.
So having a good diet that's not filled with sugar but then filled with lots of fats. So the biggest thing for fats is that testosterone is made from cholesterol, right? And we get cholesterol from fat. So that doesn't mean that I'm saying to go out and eat some deep fried food because it's full of fat. I'm talking about your healthy fats, right? So avocado, coconut oil, beans have some good fats in there. If you're not dairy sensitive, milk products would also have some good fats in it. Nuts, all of those things have good fats, which end up becoming cholesterol, and that can actually boost your testosterone. So people who don't eat a lot of fat tend to have lower cholesterol, so they cannot make testosterone, and you can see that particularly in females who, when their body fat starts to drop too low, they can't make any of their hormones.
Interesting. So when I was at Westside Barbell, Louis Simmons was a big proponent of cholesterol for testosterone. Now we all use that as a justification to eat some terrible food when we were there. But being around some of the strongest people in the world, I've noticed a ton of them pound milk and a ton of avocado. So it's interesting you use both of those.
Okay. The next thing that we can actually talk about is stress. How many people today have stress? Probably everyone, right? But the thing about stress is it's okay to have a little bit of stress in your life, But what I have found with patients is there's an abundance of stress. So there's stress at home, there's stress going to work, there's stress when you work out, right? Even when you're working out, you're still producing the same hormones that you would even if you weren't running from something where you didn't mentally feel stressed out.
There's not much of a differentiation between good stress and bad stress in terms of the response from your body.
Correct, physiologically.
Okay.
So what ends up happening is the more stressed out you are and the longer periods you have of stress, a hormone that your adrenal glands make that sit right above your kidneys is called DHEA. And DHEA is directly proportional to make hormones, especially testosterone. So low DHEA will result in low testosterone. So if you're someone who's super stressed out and let's say you're working so hard and you can't make any gains, it could be because your adrenal glands aren't functioning optimally, so your DHEA levels are suboptimal, and so you're not producing testosterone.
So that could also be a consequence of overtraining, not only in terms of like the structural wear and tear that you feel, but also in terms of all the stress, lowering your DHEA, which lowers your testosterone, which impairs your ability to recover, which furthers what's happening in terms of your overtraining.
Correct.
Super interesting. Okay.
The other thing that I just wrote a quick note for everybody of what I wanted to talk about. Zinc. Zinc is huge. A lot of people are deficient, so you can know that you're zinc deficient mainly because your nails might be brittle or you have white little spots on your nails. That's a good indication that
I assume you're all doing what I'm doing right now.
The other thing you might notice is your taste might be impaired or you're someone who gets sick frequently. And a lot of research has shown, and they don't quite know the mechanism of action, but zinc just naturally boosts testosterone. So if you were to take zinc, you would want to take 50 to 100 milligrams a day, and then you would take it with food because it can make you nauseous. And you would do this for 3 months, and then you would take a break because taking zinc for too long can deplete copper in your body. So you don't want to take it for longer than 3 months at a time.
Is that the same if, I'm sure a lot of people are taking ZMA at night. Is that the same thing? You'd want to cycle on and off that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, ZMA has much lower zinc content, but the same idea. If you're taking zinc, it's depleting your copper, so you don't want to take it for longer than 3 months.
How long would you want to be off after a 3 month stint?
Probably 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, 3 months on, 1 month off.
Correct. All right. The next thing that's actually important for us is vitamin D, because being North Americans, we don't get a lot of sunlight, right? So we're mainly deficient in vitamin D. It's actually good to get your levels checked just so that you know how much you are taking. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, so it can be toxic in high levels. So that's why you don't want to overdo.
So you want to limit what kind of dose for vitamin D? Vitamin D,
if it's winter, you can do anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 international units, which is either 4 drops of the liquid or 5 pills.
Okay.
Basically, vitamin D is responsible for increasing testosterone, and they're showing more research that that's what happens. Again, they don't quite know what the mechanism of action is, but they found that people who had low vitamin D levels had lower testosterone. When they took vitamin D, their testosterone.
So there's a strong correlation between the two.
Correct.
Okay.
Then the next thing are some herbs. Everyone takes herbs or supplements, and they don't quite know how much to take or which ones are effective. So lots of research has actually been done on this aspect of testosterone. So a couple herbs are horny goatweed. That's a great one. So basically, you want 3 grams a day. It will boost testosterone and it will increase libido.
Would 3 grams a day be for men and women?
Men and women.
Okay.
These doses are for everybody.
Okay.
Saw palmetto, which is 160 milligrams a day. It boosts testosterone, but it's also really good for prostate health. Okay. So for men, that's a good one to take. And yohimbe is another one, and you want 15 milligrams per day.
Okay.
And so for those ones, you generally can get them at the health food store. Yohimbe, I believe, is only through naturopathic doctors. It might require prescription.
Now, would you want to take all of these in conjunction with each other, or are you picking in between them?
I would take them all in conjunction with each other. And the other one that I didn't mention was tribulus, and you take 100 milligrams 3 times a day. One supplement company that actually has all of these combined together is Douglas Labs Testo Gain.
Okay.
Yes, and it quite helps people. The other thing is if you're someone who's super stressed out, one of the herbs that you could take is ginseng, Panax ginseng, and it will help increase testosterone because it helps with stress. So it would help increase that DHEA naturally.
Yeah.
And the last thing that I was telling Craig earlier is a supplement called I3C, or you can use DIM, which is a little bit more potent. And what it does is it decreases bad estrogen. So as it decreases bad estrogen, then good estrogen and testosterone also increase.
Okay, perfect. So as takeaways, let me see if I have this. You want to drop your body fat for
Correct.
men between, let's say, 10 and 15%,
Yep.
although it can go as low as 5.
Correct.
For women, from 21 to 15 is the range you want to be in.
Yep.
You want to be less stressed.
Yep.
You want to make sure you're good for zinc and vitamin D.
Correct.
You want to take, hopefully, a combination of horny goat weed, tribulus, yohimbe, and
Supplemento.
supplemento, with a possibility to add something like DIM.
DIM, yeah.
Um,
And ginseng.
and ginseng. And those are essentially what you want to be doing. Otherwise, just generally lowering your stress.
Correct.
I think you talked to me about this before.
Yes.
Short, intense bursts of exercise
Yes.
also have a positive.
For testosterone.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Doc.
No problem.
I hope this helps some of you guys. Any questions, you can comment on the video, and I will make sure I get them to the doc.
Sounds good.
That went great.